It's not the same guy that I'm used to it being. The only other feasible option would be basically his mom.
Can we talk about the kiss though?
That's the vibe I get from like anything like this when people write full fucking paragraphs. The difference is I give a shit about the games. So season 2 of the Devil May Cry anime came out, and I actually thought it was pretty all right. Me and my friends, we got together, we watched it, had ourselves a good laugh. It was a pretty good time. Now, the reason I'm sitting here and recording this video in front of you guys is because one of my friends during the watch session, they mentioned that people are upset about Lady and Dante kissing. Honestly, I got a little bit of secondhand embarrassment. It felt a little weird, felt a little rushed, but at the same time, it's like it wasn't a big deal in my eyes. But some people did think it was a big fucking deal. So I don't know. Let's go look at some retards, I guess. I don't know. Before we get started, I wanted to show you guys the man, the myth, the legend, who in fact jinxed this entire situation into existence. This Reddit post from 2 years ago by Consideration Limp 511, Limp Bizkit, I guess, I don't know. I hope there won't be a romantic line between Lady and Dante in the new anime. I know a lot of fans like the Dante Lady ship, but this is an anime in the genre of fantasy action, and a romance would be weird. I mean, I can kind of agree with you on that one, honestly. For me, it's less about the fact that Dante kissed Lady in specific. I mean, it wasn't like there was anyone else lining up to get some. The only other feasible option would be basically his mom. So, I mean, last I checked, Dante wasn't Tom Brady, but I could be wrong. And if that made you smirk, you should consider subscribing because you've got a fucked up sense of humor like I do. This has got to be the last video like anybody would ever expect to hear Tom Brady's name. Like, what the fuck? I just play video games. What's this football thing? Yeah, for me, it was less that and more so it was the fact that there was any kissing in the first place. And it's not even like I'm taking the Puritan stance where it's like I don't want any public displays of affections or nudity in my show. It's just like it would have to be earned up to, and I don't really think it was. It felt a little congested in a season that was definitely supposed to be about the relationship between Dante and Virgil. I mean, just like having Lady snake her way into relevance by like forcing that kiss on him was kind of ridiculous. Unfortunately, next up is going to be Facebook, and I can't believe there are cretins who like still use Facebook. Dude, the AI is like saving my ass right now. You know that fucking like saved you a click Twitter account? Dude, that guy better like that guy better retire. Like AI's coming for his job. Adi Shankar should be fired and never allowed to interfere in any television work again. That's kind of drastic, don't you think? I mean, the relationship between Dante and Lady is literally nonsense. It makes absolutely no sense since there's no relationship between them in the original story. Morrison also makes it unequivocally clear in his writing in DMC5 that there is no romantic relationship between Dante and Lady. Suffice to say, I have nothing more to say than that. That's the vibe I get from like anything like this when people write full fucking paragraphs about like some stupid shit in a movie or a video game. But you want to know who's not a loser? These guys up here, my channel members. Big ups to these guys for helping me fund the creation of these videos. If you want to get started, all it is $1 a month. By the way, rate my fit. I'm trying to dress a little better. You know what I mean? I say as I have a full fucking neck beard. Don't worry, I'm planning to shave it. I'm just waiting 4 to 6 weeks to fully grow it out. The moment he asks Johnny Young Bosch to play Dante in the show, the moment you know it's gonna be a shitty one. That's another weird thing in like the video game community. People get pissed off when they change out like voice actors and stuff like that. And like the only situation where it makes sense to be upset about it would be like Final Fantasy VII Remake. They got those original voice actors, had them record lines, and then just told them to fuck off. Like in that case, it's well warranted to be upset about that. But like any other case, it's like, it's not the same guy that I'm used to it being. Ah! People say this as if Johnny Young Bosch did like a bad job, which I don't think he did. I actually feel like it was very appropriate. At the end of the day, this boils down to the same reason people were upset about the first season of Devil May Cry, and it was just the fact that it didn't strictly follow the games that came before it. The majority of the shit seems to be happening on Facebook, so I get that tells you everything you need to know, dude. What the fuck is this shit? I scrolled down because like the blue hair and the horns caught my attention, and I regret looking at this shit. Holy shit, can I just watch the video? Like, stop muting it.
Can we talk talk about the kiss though? I mean, a semi, the music, like break it down for me. What was your reaction seeing it?
Dude, I lost my mind. I literally was like a giddy moment.
I lost. I can see why this moment happened. After all, it's because Dante and Lady find out they have so many different things in common. I think the biggest problem is it's surrounded by all of this other shit that we're also supposed to care about. So it doesn't really get the breathing room that it needs. If this was in like a season 3, perhaps, then they would have all the time, all that necessary buildup to really make that moment make sense. Whereas like in here, it felt like it was kind of thrown in. It especially happens right after they escape danger, which like it led to some crazy fucking like Stanley Kubrick viewing experience where it's like you think of the suicide in Full Metal Jacket, and then like the very next scene it cuts to, it's like they're walking around in fucking Vietnam. The Asian chick walks up to them. They're all like, "What can I get for $10?" And it's like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. I'm like, what?
Everything you want. Everything. Everything.
That being said, I admire the people who actually did enjoy this moment. You know, the people who actually know how to have fun. The difference is I give a shit about the games. That's cool and all, but this isn't a video game. Like, I don't know if you noticed. I guess now's the perfect time to get into this. People treat Devil May Cry lore like it's Metal Gear lore. The story of Devil May Cry doesn't really go anywhere near as deep as I've seen it go for other video games, and that's because Devil May Cry is a gameplay first experience. That's literally the reason I enjoy it as much as I do. I have played so many games where like you can tell all the work got put into the story and then they forgot they were making a fucking video game. So it's like the shittiest gameplay you've ever experienced. Because of that, I don't really mind when somebody takes the rules and plays around with them because frankly, there weren't that many in the first place. But people have roughly the same criticism for the new Resident Evil movie that just got teased, and it's like same fucking thing, dude. Like, I don't know if this is because I'm just fucking batshit insane or something like that, but I actually want to see new stuff. I don't want to see more of the same stuff. I want to see a new interpretation of the thing I'm already familiar with. As a creative person myself, I see every work of art as a form of expression for the person who made it. No piece of art created should be exactly like another piece of art. You're not expressing yourself, you're just expressing someone else's ideas. If I wanted to experience Devil May Cry 3, I would fucking play Devil May Cry 3. Jesus Christ, that fly is gonna fucking smack into me one of these moments. That fly is a fucking psyop. Somebody knew I was gonna record this video, so they sent in this fucking fly to be my hitman or some shit. I don't know. Quick, fly into his mouth while he's talking. Yeah, the DMC show doesn't follow the video games like beat for beat for beat. But like, who gives a shit? It's not the video games. She got him in prison and now they're kissing. Like, what? It reads like a shitty fanfic. That part is like 100% valid. They mentioned several times in season 2 that like Dante should feel betrayed because Lady like imprisoned him, basically. Having this moment come up so fast. Again, if it had like the proper breathing room, it wouldn't have been weird. Why are people mad about Dante getting laid? Like, do they want bro to be a virgin forever so that some virgins can relate to him? What cracks me up and like, I don't want to be mean about this, but like, this was my immediate first thought. You know what I mean? You know, when you see the DMC fans that I've seen, I say this about a lot of people, and there's no difference with like DMC fans. It's like some of you fuckers can stand to go outside. I actually really like Dante's design in season 2. He kind of reminded me of Raiden from Metal Gear. Speaking of Metal Gear, but it was kind of cool. He had like the tactical stealth suit underneath the red jacket, and the longer hair just made a lot of sense for Dante. I wasn't a big fan of like short hair Dante. You know what I mean? Like even in DMC 5, like, him with shorter hair was just, it was just weird. But again, here's like another post about something I can actually get behind because I fully like relate to this. Again, it's the question of like, why did this need to happen in season 2? Why couldn't they like put this off for season 3? And I think the answer to that is the fact that they're inevitably going to introduce Trish at some point, and that's probably what season 3 is going to be about. They're probably setting up Lady to like fall in love with Dante and then like trying to spoil this as little as I can, but like abandon Dante basically. In walks convenient other female protagonist who tries to like earn Dante's affection, and then Dante's in like his black DMC2 coat and he's like, no thanks, I don't trust women anymore. Therefore Trish has to earn like Dante's trust so that he can fall in love with Trish, and then Lady comes back into the picture and now there's like this bizarre love triangle happening. That's exactly what's going to occur. I'm telling you guys, that's exactly what they're setting it up for. for. And then they're going to introduce Nero, but like Nero's entire involvement in the season is going to be weird because like they're going to have the main focus on Trish. So like then Nero's going to do something that feels really rushed, and hence the complaining all over again. It's a vicious cycle at the end of the day. Makes you wonder why people even bother getting upset over a fucking TV show. To end this off, I might as well give my legitimate criticism of the show. The animation in season 2 was a lot better than season 1. Season 1 had some really jank shit going on, but it also still had the really corny dialogue, especially with Virgil. Whoever fucking wrote the thing had a massive hard-on for the fucking like motif of Virgil being a storm, because they made sure to mention that in every episode. There was an extremely autistic fixation on that for some reason. I don't know why. Speaking of Virgil, I want to get into the music choice for this season because holy fucking shit. The entire aesthetic of Devil May Cry is kind of like that alternative punk sort of vibe to it, but like holy shit. My friends can vouch for this, by the way. When I saw Virgil killing people to like Drowning Pool, that was like, it was certifiably the gayest thing I have ever seen in my life. I have seen and played a lot of gay shit, but there is nothing more gay than Virgil and Drowning Pool. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I got legitimate secondhand embarrassment from the song choices. The show's soundtrack was basically teenage girl music. It was actually really sad. It was most definitely rushed in there too, because none of the fights seemed to be animated or choreographed to go along with it. And there were even parts where you couldn't hear anybody talking. It had like the Sonic Adventure 2 effect. Reinforcing this point, they did use Corin's Freak on a Leash, which I have to admit, people go crazy when I do it at karaoke night. But they use Corin's Freak on a Leash, and then they cut it off right before he starts scatting. Like I don't understand why have the entire beginning of the song and then you leave out the part that like made it as notorious as it was. That doesn't make any sense. The entire show screams fuck you energy, and at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for. You're not supposed to take it seriously, and once you stop doing that, the show actually becomes a really good time. That's the other part that like cracks me up about this. It's like the show is on Netflix. When was the last time Netflix actually put out anything good? It's fucking par for the course as far as I'm concerned. The amount of legitimization Netflixvania. What the fuck is this shit? Can we get Wikipedia simple English for the entire internet? Holy fucking shit.